Okay.
Did you hear it?
Yeah.
Okay. First thing, um, I do want to let you know that I don't make cuts
hmm
when I film
Okay.
or when I edit. Um,
Yeah, I saw on your story. It was like,
yeah.
yeah, that's funny.
I didn't start telling people that until someone had asked, like, "Are you gonna make cuts?" And I was like, "No." So I just figured that like I should tell people.
Yeah, no.
I only have in this Zoom, it's 40 minutes.
Okay.
And once we get close to hitting that mark, I don't know if it's going to show up for the both of us, but it'll have like a timer in the corner. And so, like, we got to start wrapping things up.
Okay, cool.
Any questions?
I don't think so. I think I'm ready to dive right in.
Okay, first, it's still recording. Okay, introduce yourself.
Okay, hello, my name is Sawyer. My artist name is Soyr, pronounced Sawyer also. I'm a sophomore in college at UW, and yeah.
Okay. How did you first get started into singing and making music?
So I started making music almost exactly a year ago, like in January. And but like with singing, it kind of started way before that because in middle school is when I started taking singing lessons, and then um COVID happened and that kind of all went down the drain. But then like more recently I got back into it and I was like, I want to start making my own music and putting myself out there.
Okay. You've released nine singles. What inspires you to make music?
What inspired me? That's a good question. It was sort of like always growing up. I felt like I was surrounded by music. Like I took piano lessons from a very young age. I took clarinet in elementary school and then saxophone and singing lessons and all that. And I don't know, I just felt like I was always surrounded by music and it was just always my favorite thing ever to do. So I was like, well, if I love listening to these people, then I should start making my own music to see if other people like listening to me. And yeah, it's just always been a passion of mine.
I'm so nosy, but that Malcolm Todd poster is so cool.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I got it at his concert when he came last June.
Mm.
Yeah, thank you.
Can you walk us through your typical songwriting and production process from the moment you get an idea to when the song is released?
Yeah, so there's sort of like two main ways that it happens. It's like either I start finding some chords on like my acoustic guitar. And whenever I start with that, I feel like the songs always end up like more mellow.
Mhm.
So I start by finding like a chord progression, whether it's just the same chord progression throughout the whole thing, if I have something different for the chorus and maybe a bridge. And then I like get out my little notebook and I start writing lyrics to it. And then once I have the song like almost fully written or I have like a good idea of like the composition that I want, then I sort of start putting it in my like digital audio workstation. That's one way. The other way is I like to start with the drums. So I go straight onto my computer and I like either make the drums or like one time I've used a drum loop off of Splice, which I always feel bad about because I feel like this is my music. I want to make like every
Mm.
single part of it. But then yeah, then they pretty much like come together. Like they're the two different methods that I use, and I just start like sort of just like digging out the song and like digging out the song. I start like yeah, basically just like reworking it and until it becomes like finished, and then even then still I still like sit with it for a while and work
Okay,
it.
so you said that you were in school. So how do you manage being so young and still in school while pursuing a serious music career?
Yeah, no, it's definitely really difficult because it's like motivation comes and goes, but then it's like it's like this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. Like
Mm-hmm.
this is like my biggest pursuit. So I think it's like because it's such a big passion and I know that I always want to do this, it's like whenever I have free time and I'm not making music, there's a little part of me that's like, oh, you should be doing this right now. You should be making music.
Hmm.
So I think it's that always just like keeps me driven to make music and like work towards my goals. Or else it's just like, what am I doing with myself right now?
Do you think there's like one challenge that's like stuck out to you the most though?
Mm, I think probably the biggest challenge is just like making sure that the only two things I'm doing aren't just like school and music because then also I have to like pay rent, so I do also have a job.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like the biggest challenge is probably making sure that I have a life outside of all of that. Um, but I mean, yeah, since motivation comes and goes, I think like staying consistent with music in general is probably the hardest thing because like I haven't been working a ton on music or like practicing as a musician. So I think since I don't have all of this time to practice, the hardest thing is like constantly working on bettering myself and not just like putting out the same stuff. Like I want to evolve as a musician. So it's super hard to stay motivated and consistent with that.
Okay. What themes or messages do you hope listeners take away from your songs?
Yeah, that's a good question because I've sort of struggled with that too, but my favorite part about music, I think, is just how fun it is to listen to.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like when I go into a song, I want to have as much fun with it as I possibly can. So I hope that like when people listen to my music, they're just having like a great time. Like that's the biggest thing. I struggle with it sometimes because if I'm making a song just like for fun, sometimes I'm like, oh, but I do also want this to have like a deeper meaning than just fun.
Mm-hmm.
But I think just like overall, because it's what I do for fun, that's the biggest takeaway and like theme that I want my listeners to get out of it is to just have fun with it.
Okay. What's the best way you think social media has come and influenced your exposure?
Definitely like through TikTok. Like whenever I drop a song, I just try to post as much as I can on TikTok. And it's really actually amazing. Like I have people who comment on my TikToks who have been commenting on my TikToks for like months and months, and they're like, I'm your biggest fan. And it's just such a surreal experience because I'm just another student going to college, and there are people like on my TikTok who love my music so much. And yeah, I think not only like that helps with the exposure, but that also helps with the motivation because it's like, wow, people
Yeah.
are really loving this. And like, I feel like I have an obligation to like, not only to myself, but like to those people. Even if I don't have like the biggest audience ever, I'm like, I want to keep making music for these people who like what they're hearing from me.
What's one song or project you've worked on that holds special meaning to you and why?
Yeah, when you sent me the questions, I was thinking about this one a little bit because I would probably have to go with like the first song I made called Burning. I made it about, it was like about a past relationship, and it was just like the first time I was getting into music.
Mhm.
And I didn't initially like plan on releasing it. And I think that's why it holds such a special meaning in my heart is because it's like, okay, so I wrote this whole song, and it's like, what's the point to just keep it to myself? Like, I want to hear if other people relate to this.
Mhm.
I want to see other people's reactions to this. And that was sort of like the turning point where I was like, okay, I don't just want music to be a part of my life. I want to like pursue being an artist. So I think that all those reasons combined is why that project holds just like a special place. Because like honestly, I listened back to to the song and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I was so young. This is so embarrassing. Like it's so poorly produced. And like even now I'm like all the stuff I make, I'm like, wow, this is so poorly produced. But regardless, I'm like I'm very proud of all of it because I know I like tried my best and I just wanted to put myself out there. So
Have you worked with other artists or producers? And if so, what have you learned from those experiences?
I feel like, so short answer, not really. I've worked with a little bit, like one other producer slash artist. His name is Skylar Bowen, and he helped me produce the song Prove It like a little bit, but for the most part, it was still very my own, and I did like probably 95% of the work. But it's really helpful even just to talk to other people about my music. And also, I'm currently like in contact with another artist called Yali, and we might be working on a song together. And I definitely want to get into that more because I feel like every time I even just have a short conversation with another artist or producer, I feel like I take away so much more in that short conversation than if I was just like by myself working on my own music. So I feel like it really helps me evolve as a musician and as a person. So yeah, I definitely want to work with more artists, but like short answer, I haven't really worked with very many artists yet.
Do you think like connections are important?
I think they're very important, especially like for that motivation. Like even though I haven't like worked with other artists a ton, I still like whenever I'm working on a song, I'll like show my friends. And every time the reactions are just so good and like sometimes they're constructive and that's helpful too, but connecting with just like other people who are supportive of you, I think is so important for motivation and just feeling good about like putting yourself out there.
Okay, speaking of motivation, how do you stay motivated and inspired when facing creative blocks or setbacks in your music?
Yeah, that's a good question because that's definitely the hardest thing about making music because sometimes I'll sit down to like I'm like, okay, I want to make something right now. And sometimes it just won't work. And I feel like the biggest thing to stay motivated is like 99% of the time something won't work. And you just have to have the like capacity to just kind of let that roll off your shoulders and be like, it's okay because I'll try again and
Mhm.
then maybe next time it'll work. And then if it doesn't work that time, then I'll try again, and maybe next time it'll work. So it's like you can't let these setbacks and like, or not even setbacks, just like when you're working on your music or when I'm working on my music
Mhm.
and I like something isn't working quite right, you just have to be able to let it roll off your shoulders. I feel like
Yeah.
that's the biggest thing that helps me stay motivated.
Okay, so where are you from?
I'm from Spokane, Washington.
Okay, Washington. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, so what do you think, or do you think your being from Washington provides disadvantages while trying to be in the music industry?
I think that definitely like well, I mean, there's a lot of like nepotism out there in the music industry. So I think that like instantly it's like if you don't have a parent or guardian who's like in the industry or in like even in like the film industry, I think that's immediately a setback and like it kind of it keeps you in a smaller bubble and like it gives you less opportunities. Especially from being from a smaller city like Spokane, I think that's very true and Spokane just like isn't as musically involved. But since moving to Seattle, I find myself like making more and more connections. And I think that my current environment is a really good place to be in, especially just like given the hand I was dealt of like not having a parent. And like I love my parents, but it's like, they're not in the music industry, so that doesn't exactly help with like my music career. So yeah, I think that definitely plays a role.
Yeah, because I think you're the second guest that's not from California.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so I think that just proves that being from California, because all of the people that I've had on here, I actually not all of them, some of them I personally know. And I've
Mm,
made that connection. I went out of my way to make it before I started this. And so we're all from California, and I feel like it was just so easy for us. But
yeah.
yeah, I definitely like talking to someone who I don't remember where he said he was from, but and saying that he has like no connections, and then me from California having connections, there's definitely a difference.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I actually not to switch switch up the interview, but how did you find out about my music?
Um, okay. Actually, surprisingly, all three people that I asked, like including you, I'm
Mhm.
all interviewing them. But I knew Cam. Do you know who Cam is?
I saw on your like story on Instagram.
Okay. I knew Cam from TikTok, and I went on Cam's Instagram to send him the DM. And then when I like clicked follow and all the suggested people, I found two. So I found you
Mm,
and Danny Patrick.
gotcha.
And I just liked what you guys had, so I just messaged you guys.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's very cool.
Okay. How do you use digital tools or software to create or refine your sound? And what are your favorite tools to help you produce your sound?
Well, the digital audio workstation that I use is Logic. And what's really nice about Logic is that they have like a very vast music library of like a ton of different instruments and plugins. So that's super nice because it feels like it gives me all these options just to like have an outlet for my creativity without letting like my physical like things like I just have like a couple like an acoustic guitar, an electric and a bass, but I'm not limited by that thanks to Logic's like very vast library. And then also on my song Get Me There, I library where like anybody can upload like drum loops or instruments or anything like that. I did use a drum loop from there, and that was really helpful because when I was making Get Me There, I was struggling a lot with drums, and like I still struggle with drums. Like that's probably the hardest part about producing a song, which kind of sucks because I feel like I mean like drums aren't necessarily the most key part or aspect of like the type of music I make, like indie pop. But I feel like no matter what, it's like if a song doesn't have drums, it's so obvious that song doesn't have drums. It's not like any other instrument where it's like, oh, this song doesn't have a cowbell. It's like, oh, this song doesn't have drums. So I feel like just having that ability to be like online and looking through all these different things that people have created, it's very helpful because I love how music is like it's a sort of community where it's like
Yeah.
you put into it and like people can use your stuff and like I even one time like I made a song and someone DM'd me on Instagram and they like made a remix of my song
Oh,
and that
really?
was so cool. Yeah, it was super cool. I was like, yeah, so it's like you just like put out into the community and people like can take it and use it for themselves without like plagiarizing or anything. And I think that's just a really beautiful part about music.
Looking back, is there anything you wish you'd known before starting your music career?
Wish I'd known. Hmm. I don't know. I feel like what I would say, like advice to other people, is like put yourself out there as much as possible. And that's like the most important thing about music. Like, I feel like that would be what I told myself. But I feel like when I started, I sort of already knew that. And there
Mhm.
was like a little bit of embarrassment at first, and like there still is. So honestly, even though I did kind of know that that feels like the most important thing to me, I think no matter what, I just tell myself that to like reinforce it. Like you just got to keep putting yourself out there and keep like showing your art and your work, and eventually something will come of it.
How do you envision your music evolving in the next few years?
Yeah, that's a good question because I feel like I mean, I've gotten a lot that like not a lot, but I've gotten some like kind of hate comments on some of my TikToks, like, "Oh, this is just another Malcolm Todd dupe," and I'm like, "Ah, I don't just want to be another Malcolm Todd dupe." So I feel like the way it'll evolve is instead of, and like I do take like inspiration from other artists, but I really want to work on figuring out exactly what my sound is gonna be. And there was a while there where I thought about creating another artist account
Mhm.
with like a more curated, like this is my sound, and then keeping my SOYR account as like just where I put literally whatever I make. Like it could be acoustic, it could be hyper pop, it could be, I don't know, just wherever my heart takes me when I'm like making music. Like it could be anything. So I think the way I want it to evolve though is figuring out what exactly my sound is and who my biggest inspirations are and feeling like I have a more unique place, just like in music in general.
I think there's only two interviews that I've done where we haven't talked about Malcolm Todd.
Really?
Malcolm
That's
Todd
so
is like
funny.
the number one topic.
Well, it's funny because yeah, like not only do I get comments that like I'm another Malcolm Todd dude, but I get comments that like I look like Malcolm Todd.
Really?
And yeah, it's really funny.
Um, oh, we're at the last question. Okay. If you can give your younger self one piece of advice about pursuing music, what would it be?
Um, I mean, I think Nike said it pretty well. Just do it. Like you just gotta do it. Like like it doesn't matter how bad you think your music is. I think the most important thing is just like putting pen to paper or putting words to the song and just like putting yourself out there. I was like this is what I preach. You just have to put yourself out there for anyone to give you constructive criticism or anyone to say, "Wow, this is really great. I love it." So I feel like no matter what, like that is the advice I'd give my younger self. And yeah.
All right, ready for the personal questions?
Yeah, I'm ready. I wrote some answers down for these because I was like, "Oh, this is
Okay.
hard."
Top four favorite movies.
Okay, okay. I did write these down. Okay, not in order, but I watched Beautiful Boy last year and that movie was so good. And then Baby Driver, Whiplash, and either The Holdovers or Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Wait,
Do you
wait,
know
what
what
was your third
I'm
one?
saying?
Whiplash.
Whiplash, yeah.
I love that movie.
That movie's so
Holdovers.
good.
I like wanted to start a tradition with myself to watch the holdovers, but then when I tried watching it, you had to pay. I was like, oh no, I'm not doing this.
Ah, yeah.
So I missed the
Everything's
year.
behind a paywall these
Yeah.
days.
Okay, top four favorite musicians.
Favorite musicians. Okay, well, we're gonna talk about Malcolm Todd again because he is like my biggest inspiration, and I got to meet him in June, so that was like such a surreal experience. But then also, he's a bit of a smaller artist, but Greek. He makes like really cool, like R&B inspired music. I think his biggest inspiration is like Michael Jackson and like sort of specifically from like the R&B era. So I love his music so much. He's such a great artist. I also got to meet him last year at his concert when he came to Seattle. And then probably Jeff Buckley is gonna be next. He's so good. I can't believe that his career got cut short and his life got cut short at such a young age, but I love his music so much. And then also Tyler, the Creator, because he's just got such a vast like style of music, and I really love that it's like he's still got like all these different genres like hip hop and pop and like R&B, but it still feels like he has his own sound, and I feel like that's something that I definitely strive for in my music.
I'm gonna Apple Pay someone who can name the amount of times we talk about Malcolm. It's so fun.
No, I know. It's just like kind of impossible to talk
Yeah.
about my music without bringing him up.
The first interview I did, I was the one to bring him up.
Really?
And then ever since then, everybody else has said something about him.
That's funny.
Okay. Top four favorite bands.
Okay. Again, in no particular order. Radiohead is very good. My favorite album by them is probably In Rainbows. They're definitely not my top favorite band. My top favorite band actually is definitely the Backseat Lovers. I got to see them in concert in my sophomore year of high school, and they were like one of my first concerts where I was like on the floor, and it was a super small venue, and just getting to hear their music was like such an amazing experience. And I feel like that was a turning point where I was like, I want to make music. And then sort of like going off of that, one of my other favorite bands is probably Wall. Wallows, who I also got to see in concert. There's a little bit of a connection. I feel like whenever I see someone in concert, it's like, oh my gosh, this is
Yeah.
my favorite artist ever. And again, that was like, oh my gosh, I need to join a band and make music like this. Even if it's like, that's not really the sound I go for anymore. But I got super into them like freshman year of high school, and they'll just always have a special place in my heart. And then also the 1975. I love the 1975 so much. Yeah, they make such great music. I haven't seen them in concert or anything, but their music is like so ethereal.
The last person I interviewed was a band and they got their band started after going to a Wallows concert.
Really?
Yeah.
That's so awesome. Yeah, there's something, they're great performers, and there's something about them that's just, it feels like such a tight-knit group of guys, and it's like that connection is just like so beautiful. And it's so, yeah.
Okay. Top four all-time favorite songs.
Okay, this was a tough one, and I'm still not even confident in my list because that's crazy. But Pool House was like the first song that I heard from the Backseat Lovers, who I saw in concert. And getting to see that live was like the most incredible experience ever. So definitely Pool House. And then Lover You Should Have Come Over by Jeff Buckley. That song is like heart-wrenching. It's like the saddest song ever, but it's so good. Listen to that for like a month straight. Don't know how it wasn't on my Spotify Wrapped this year. But then Make Me a Better Man by Malcolm Todd. His new album. That song I feel like is so good. And I feel like all these songs that I've mentioned so far have like a similar vibe of just like yearning in like a certain way. And then to finish it off is Japanese Denim by Daniel Caesar. That was like my first song by Daniel Caesar that I ever heard. And I was like, wow, this is just like peak music.
Okay, top four albums.
Top four albums. Okay. Um, Grace by Jeff Buckley. There's gonna be a lot of patterns coming up. Is like his only album that he ever made. Obviously, they've released some more stuff after his passing, but that album is just so heart-wrenching, and he has such a beautiful spirit. So that definitely. And then either Sweet Boy by Malcolm Todd or Malcolm Todd. Yeah, I'm I'm not gonna say any more about Malcolm Todd because I don't want this interview to be about him. But and then Accelerator by Greek. That's not his newest album, but I feel like that was a really breakout album for him, and it didn't get enough attention. And it's such a good like dance album in my opinion, like dance R&B. It's not like dance, it's not like house or anything, but it's so good. So highly recommend that one. And then either Waiting to Spill or When We Were Friends by the Backseat Lovers. They're very like different vibes. Like one of them feels more like band, which is like When We Were Friends, and that was like their first album, I think. And then Waiting to Spill at times feels like slower and more acoustic. But they're both just like so beautiful in different ways in my mind.
If you could collaborate with any artist, living or dead, who would it be and why?
Yeah, I actually put Michael Jackson because I have been listening to his discography so much for the past like 3 months. And I watched an interview with Greek where he said that Michael Jackson is like one of his biggest inspirations. And I was like, wow, yeah, Michael Jackson is underrated. And then I was like, wait. Michael Jackson is not underrated. He's just underrated in my head. So I
Yeah.
was like, okay, let me listen to his entire discography. And yeah, I feel like that would just be so incredible. So yeah, definitely Michael Jackson. He made great music.
Did you get it? It's the timer has started.
Oh yeah, I see the timer.
Um, what's your dream venue or festival to perform at?
Okay, this one was kind of hard, but I put Camp Flog Gnaw because, well, I love Tyler the Creator. I've seen him in concert, and I haven't been to any music festivals before, but the just the vibe of that one seems so cool. I love how it's not like a ton of shows going on at the same time. And yeah, I don't know. I feel like he just always does such a great job. Him and his team do such a great job of just like putting together a curated like music festival. And I feel like I would love to fit in that curation somewhere someday.
If you weren't a musician, what do you think you'd be doing?
Great question. Probably, well, definitely something creative, but my family is like a family full of writers and like
Oh, really?
English people, and I've always wanted to write a book. So when it comes to like the creative side of things, I would definitely be like writing a book. And like no matter what, I still want to, but I feel like that would 100% be my thing because I am an English major. It kind of sucks. I'm not a music major, but yeah, I'm an English major, and I feel like being a novelist would be the coolest thing ever. Other than that, I'd still be a student and I'd still be working, and yeah.
Honestly, I would say definitely do not be a music major because music theory classes are the hardest thing in the world.
No, I know. I took one last quarter, and it was super cool, but yeah, no, they're very difficult.
Okay, who's your dream person to open for?
Dream person to open for. Honestly, I actually didn't write this one down. I was hoping I'd figure it out. Uh, I think I would say the Backseat Lovers, just because they were like my first concert I ever went to,
Mhm.
and the opener they had was so good. And it's just like, I don't know, when I think back on that concert, I was like, wow, it would be so cool to be them right now because just like the vibe that they were able to create, even though nobody really knew their music, the opener, it was like, wow, this would be such an amazing thing to do for people because it's like even though people aren't singing the words to their
Yeah.
songs, everybody you could just tell like the energy was electric and everyone's just having a great time. So I think that would be so amazing.
All right, well, that's it. Those are all the questions.
Awesome.
Um, did you send me a picture?
No, I did not.
Okay. I will probably have this video edited and done by tonight.
Okay.
So if you can send me a picture so I can do the graphics and just have everything scheduled, that would be perfect.
Okay, awesome. Just like a picture of myself or
Um, Hold on, let me go through. I've talked to so many people, I don't know who I've sent pictures to.
yeah, no worries.
Um, no, I didn't send you any graphics. I'll send you a few graphic examples,
Okay.
so you can kind of give me a picture that would fit
Okay,
that. Okay.
cool.
But I will text you when everything's done.